Hello and welcome to our webinar today on 6 ways your parish-wide mailings fail you. My name is Linda Rance. I am a solutions expert with Ministries Solutions Expert, and our goal is to help parishes find practical solutions that lead to evangelization. Now, if you visited our website at all, or been to any of our other webinars, you'll know that we have this method that we sort of formula, if you will, MCUE, which is message, connect, uplift, and then evangelize. And briefly, just for those who may not have seen it, we feel that the message is bigger than just the Sunday homily or a column in the bulletin. Connect is not just the tools you use to communicate or hospitality at the entrance at Mass, but it's how you engage and interact with your community and beyond your community. And uplift is more than just the music at the Mass. It's the sights, the smells, the sounds. It's the total experience. And everything leads to evangelization. So as we look at solutions and try to help churches, everything is done with evangelization as the end result in mind. Now, when we talk about parish mailings, we're talking that they are part of Connect, the actual connecting with your community. But the importance with anything is going to be in conveying the message, the overall message, and together, of course, leading to evangelization. Now, parish-wide mailings can be the traditional snail mail, and there's a lot of letters that go out from parishes. It can also be email, and the focus of our presentation today is going to be on the emails that go out. Now, just so you know, we're going to use as our example today, I've got this screenshot. If you can see it, I'm not sure, depending on what your device is that you're looking at it, but this is an actual parish email. I tend to sign up for different parishes and their different emails. And this one is for a 1-week email. It covers a 1-week period. And you can see that it's running for 3 full pages when I convert it to text to a document, plus a little bit of a 4th page. Now, that's not to say that your parish is doing it this way, but I'm going to use some of the things in this email to illustrate some of the things that are fails for parish mailings. And maybe you'll recognize something that is in your mailings that you'll want to change. The big black marks that you see, of course, are where I redacted it to keep it private, so it doesn't show which parish or which pastors or people or staff members. Okay, so let's get started on 6 ways your parish-wide mailings fail you. I've already had a timer set. This webinar should take 30 minutes and maybe even less, because we're going to be listing the fails. This isn't a full encompassing where we're going to go into solving every single problem. I'll give you a couple ideas at the end, but then, there'll be a future webinar for that type of thing. Okay, so let's look at number 1. And I'm going to guess that you did not expect this. And when you saw the example that I gave you, this was not what you expected to see as the number 1 item. This is the very last line of the email. And it says, this is an email for all parishioners with an email address on file. If you would like to be removed from the email list, please contact so-and-so. Okay, well, thank goodness they mention about removing yourself, but I see a couple issues here. That first issue, we're making assumptions about subscribers. That's our first fail. Okay, there is a CAN Spam Act, and you can see that at FTC, the Federal Trade Commission.gov, and search for CAN Spam Act. Now, it's debatable on whether or not that applies to churches. Churches are not going to feel that they are spamming. But the penalty, if you are found or considered to be spamming, can be as much as $16,000. And the question to ask yourself, is somebody going to complain that you're sending the emails? And I'm going to tell you that somebody will complain. When we first started with one of our email campaigns, somebody who received it felt like they got some other emails almost immediately. And they came to us and said, okay, you're already sharing my email address. It's a very touchy subject. We were able to show it wasn't us because we went to the company and they were able to say exactly where that email got shared from. So we didn't do it. But yes, a parishioner complained right off the bat. So don't think parishioners are not going to file complaints about you. The other thing is that this is a fail because you want subscribers. It's just because people give you an email address where you can contact them doesn't mean they want to receive all your mailings and everything about it. So you want them to opt in. Now, you can always send an opt in message to everyone and say, would you opt in to our weekly mailings, to our monthly mailings, to our fundraising campaigns? But opt in lets them make a decision, and that also engages them. It makes it, they've decided to become part of what you're doing. The other thing about this is that you want to make the opt out very easy. It's giving them an email address and saying, hey, email it to us and let us know that you don't want to receive it. You know, a lot of people are taught the last thing you do to opt out is email back, because it just proves that you have a working email address. So the important thing here is the little things in this little tool that don't work well for opting in or opting out, but also you have to think about building a subscriber base. You want to create mailings that people want to receive. And remember, this is all about evangelization in the long run. Your audience is not only your parishioners. I mean, you need to evangelize beyond that. So you have to keep that in mind as you're doing these emails and moving forward. Okay, so that will take us to fail number 2, which is creates a dead end. And this has a lot to do with the email tools that parishes are using. So let's start. Now we're back at the very top of the email. And let's look first at the return address. Now I blocked out the full name, but basically you can see this parish is using a Gmail account. Gmail is not a subscriber-based tool. It's a free email account. I get the free part. There's a lot of ways to get free emails and to get discounted purchases or use of email accounts for parishes. But Gmail does not do anything for you. And you're going to see that as we go through these other fails. It's just an email address. So having a massive email list, contact list name in a Gmail account is not a tool. And neither is Hotmail, Outlook.com, or other free email accounts. Everything about a parish mailing should redirect or invite the audience back to your main source of information, and that's your parish website. It's not even calling. When you're talking digital, it's not even about calling the parish office. You have to have a source, an anchor where all the information is at, and you want to redirect people always back there. Your email address should do that. It should be whatever the name is at myparishname.com. And make that email address very obvious that this is your actual parish. Again, if maybe I know you and we've been a parishioner for years, but if I'm someone visiting or talking and I get this Gmail account, I get suspicious. I want to see your actual domain name up in your email address. And the other thing to look at on this is the issue of about attachments. I know you want to send a lot of information out, and you can see this email is for a 1-week period, and they've attached auction news, parentheses 002, parentheses PDF. Now, I love that it's a PDF, but I would have changed the name. I wouldn't call it 002. That's off of somebody's computer. When you attach a file to an email, you want to change the name of the one that gets attached. It's okay if you file it this way on your computer, but change the name. And then look at the second attachment, .pub. That's a publisher file. Now, even though some people might have Publisher with their Microsoft Office suite, most people don't know how to use it. And when they open it, it's the actual graphic layout page. It's not like a PDF where you read it. It's the actual layout page. And sometimes you open it and my default settings are different than what you created it in, and it's going to distort it. The fonts are going to get messed up. It's going to be a mess. So you want to know what you're attaching. And then the other thing is make sure we're not going to look at these attachments, but everything in the attachment, especially in a PDF, you can have actual links inside the PDF, which will also direct people back to your website to where they can find the actual information. And finally, about attachments, most people have been taught, don't open attachments. I mean, it's like a battle cry. Don't open attachment. You don't know if there's a virus. And quite honestly, I don't know if you have a virus on your computer when you created this attachment and sent it to me. Now, I know how to scan everything before I open it, but not everyone. So you may be attaching some amazing news that no one is opening. Follow that with the fact that if you're sending to somebody's work email address, it's not even that they're not allowed to open attachments. A lot of corporations and big companies strip attachments before it even gets to the recipient. So you want to keep that in mind about the attachments. The other thing about creating a dead end is that, again, looking at some screenshots about the size of this email, is that this this email is just too long. I mean, that was pretty obvious, I think, when you saw it the first time. You need to learn, first of all, your readers are never going to get to the end. The whole part about opting out, I mean, I'd be surprised if they get there. You want to write less text, and you want to use links to bring readers to more detail. Don't force yourself to put all the details in this email. Cut it down, make it a 1 or 2 sentences, give them a link, and bring them back. The other thing is that this email, this way of doing it, this weekly blasting of news, is that you're outdated before they get it. Most people don't read their emails immediately. So if you're sending something out on Monday morning or Tuesday morning, which are not the best days to email, by the way, that's a whole different story, but you're sending stuff out for the week that you want people to read, and they may not even open it. And if you're sending it out on Thursday or Friday with news about what's happening that weekend at the parish, you've got to bet that they probably the weekend will go by and they open your email on Monday or Tuesday. And what that does is it starts to show them when they see your emails in their inbox, it's not even worth their time to open them. So they skip them. Okay, last thing on this same subject of creates a dead end is knowing that you have to be looking at evangelization. Look at all the content on this email. Who is it directed at? Well, I can tell you reading through it, it's mostly parishioners. It's the children's liturgy dates and times without really anything to explain, no link to tell a new parent, hey, click here and learn about our children's liturgy program. It's not something that if a brand new person who was thinking about joining the Catholic Church or coming back to the Catholic Church could read this email and go, oh my gosh, I want to go back. Or it brings them even where there's maybe one sentence that says, considering about coming back to the Catholic Church, click here. And it takes them to your website with this beautiful information, maybe links to Catholics Come Home, and it explains what they need to do. So this is a dead end email. You really want to do something that helps bring you to evangelization. Okay, let's go to number 3. No social skills. So that email that I showed you, and maybe the emails that you're sending, have no links back to all your social media sites. Again, evangelization. Most churches understand how important social media is as an evangelization tool, especially with younger people. We're talking young adults, teenagers, and even younger. And yet they're sending out emails and even printed documents where they're not linking back to social media. What's so great about social media is that you can put up a daily post. Don't forget the big dinner this week. Don't forget the big dinner this week. And you can keep different pictures and stuff. And people who are on social media expect that there. But if you don't get them signed up on your social media accounts, you have no social skills. So your emails should take them back to that particular spot. Okay, we'll go to number 4, which was probably the most obvious from the beginning. This fail is that it's unattractive. Okay, this is all written in, well, it looks like it's rich text because it has some bold. There's HTML, which gives you lots of design. There's rich text, which gives you the ability to bold and underline and use italics. And then there's plain text, which is really, truly flat out plain text. Now, some people actually have their email clients, as they're called, their email software. So like I use Outlook, and some people have it set so that everything they get, no matter how you send it, appears in rich or in plain text. So you might make a beautiful email and they're not going to get it, which means when you create your emails for your church, you have to have both in mind. Now, going with the lowest common denominator and say, well, I'll just make everything in plain text, that's fine for the people who do want to receive it in plain text. But most people are used to seeing beautiful graphic-driven material. So you want to go and you want an email that has some design to it, that has a theme. And I would say you want that theme to change with your liturgical seasons. So when we're in Lent, as we are right now, it has a Lenten look to it. You want to use it to catechize. I mean, catechizing is also a part of evangelization. So whether it's a parishioner who doesn't understand the liturgical seasons or somebody thinking about joining the church, they can see the church flow through the seasons. You also have to make it mobile friendly. This text is a printed document, or this email was 3+ pages long. Can you imagine how long that is to scroll on an iPhone or any kind of mobile device? So you have to be friendly. And then you have to think about enriching it with other images, pictures, audio clips, video clips. And those might not be actually in the email itself, but there's a link that looks like a little YouTube picture or something. And when they click on it, maybe they get a short 2-minute video of the pastor saying, hey, here's what we've got coming up this week, and we'd really like to see you participate. Or some other program, or somebody else in the parish, the youth minister saying something to the kids. It's not that hard to get that done. It just takes a little bit of thought. And this ties back to our fail about Gmail and other types of email accounts. Very few people know how to go into emails and create those. It can be done, but it's very difficult. You really have to know what you're doing to get the HTML set up properly so that it will show across different clients. So it's not a very simple thing to do with those particular tools. Okay, moving to the next fail. Number 5, you are blasting your audience. And that, again, ties back to who is the audience, who you're trying to speak to. But the email like the one we're looking at is nothing more than a laundry list. You really, truly are getting a list of here's everything happening in the church this week, everything. And we hope as you scroll through that you'll actually read it and you'll find something that applies to you and something that interests you. Okay, you don't want to burden your parish, the whole larger audience, with things that are specific to certain groups. You don't want to send potluck emails. It's just not the approach. So you want to target your audience, and you have to consider some different tools to be able to do that. And again, we'll go more in depth to those when we have a follow-up to this webinar. But don't go down the road of, we don't want to pester everyone, so we're going to send one massive email during the week. The better approach is to create the subgroups and then let your audience subscribe, there's the word subscribe, to the messages that interest them. So families might be subscribing to emails that you have set up that discuss more of the family type events. School families, well, I don't like to divide the school families and the other families because it's a tough way to do it. It's not my thing, but you do have some very school specific emails if you have a school attached to your parish. Okay, let's look then at fail number 6. Results are a best guess. You go through a lot of trouble and time to collect the information and try to get that info out. Even on an unattractive email, there's a lot of work involved. And I recognize that. You are trying to collect it, get it down, proofread it, because heaven forbid, please don't send emails with typos. But then after it's out, did it reach anyone? Did they click on anything? I mean, if you didn't put links in it, I guess that's an easier answer because there was nothing to click on. But you're just guessing. You're guessing on all of it. And you're even guessing on the programs that you're putting together and advertising to people. What is it that they're interested in? If you have no data to give you that response, then you have no way of knowing the effect you're having or how you're impacting your community. I mean, we talked about the MCUE. You want to send a message and you want to connect. Well, if you don't know if you're connecting, you're spinning your wheels. Why do the same thing? What you want to do is look for a tool that can provide some analytics. Okay, you want to know which links were clicked. And you want to know how many people actually open the email. These kind of analytics that these different tools, I'll show you a couple of them or mention a couple of them, they'll even tell you what day and what time people opened. You can see your open rate. That you can see it right here on this little example on the screen if you can read some of that. It shows you what percentage you're hitting, what percentage on your click rate. And then you can actually see, because a lot of your clicks should be calls to action. You should be putting things in there specifically to see if you can get someone to click on it. Whether you're asking for people to support a cause or a particular fundraising drive or volunteers or RSVP or interest in, maybe you're putting some, like a little survey out. Hey, we're thinking about for Christmas, we might do this, this, or this. What do you think? And you ask to see it, look to see if they're even interested. If you're not getting interest in things that are important, then your message is not getting through in the other areas beyond the email marketing. So maybe the homilies have to change a little bit. Maybe the announcements after mass, maybe even what you're saying or how you're saying it. Maybe you're just not speaking their language. So you need some analytics to help you figure that out. And that will help you to decide if the programs you're creating in your parish, because look, there's so many great things that we can do as Catholics, but we can't do, not each of us can't do everything. It's impossible. So what really excites me and gets me going, I might go to the pastor and say, gosh, this is the greatest thing. We've got to do this. We've got to do this. It's the most wonderful, heartwarming, spiritual approach. And the pastor might say, okay, we'll give it a try. And we put it out there, and I might bang my head against the wall, and nobody responds to it, because it really, in our community, that's more my thing and maybe not the greater community thing. So but you have to be able to get some feedback. And if you notice on this little graphic that's here, there's at the very top, it says e-commerce newsletter A/B test. That's a marketing term where you send two versions of the same email out. And so one's the A version and one's the B version. And you send it out to, split the group, send it out, and you see which one got the better response, because you changed a couple of things. You changed the colors, the tone, what was in the email. Regardless, it all comes back to evangelization. When you want somebody to participate in something, you have to invite them. And you'd like to get RSVPs to know who's coming. It's the same thing with emails. You have to send it out. You have to know who you're reaching and how they're going if they're interested. So that's number 6 of our fails. So let's take a look at, just quickly, because this is as far as I'm going to go down into it, is solutions. I will have a webinar later, and I'll really explain what you can do with some of these. But the first thing is subscriber-based email tools. And there's a bunch of them out there. MailChimp, My Emma, Constant Contact's been around a long time. And they're made to tie in. If you have a WordPress site for your church, or if you have some other system, they do integrate with different types of systems, but they're very simple to use. They're inexpensive. And sometimes for when you're first getting started, there's a free version or a free trial. And some of them have nonprofits pricing. So you can kind of play with them and give it a look and see what you want. But they're wonderful. I used Constant Contact. Now, that was quite a while ago, and I switched over to My Emma for the parish I'm talking about, because My Emma allowed different admins, I guess you call them, to go in, so that on Constant Contact, we only had one login. So everybody who was allowed to send emails, because our different groups sent their own emails, they were all allowed to go in and they could all get in and touch everything, which kind of, it freaked me out. So we went to My Emma, because you could designate who could go into which of the different emails. Now, I'm not doing stuff for the parish directly, so for my own, I use MailChimp. Another, in the center, you see a QR code. I talked about that in a different webinar. And these are fabulous tools that you can use in your emails, on your website, on your printed materials, on signs at the church. And I'm going to do a short webinar sometime just on those QR codes, so it's separate and split out. But I just love those things. And that's an example of one right there. And then on the right side, I put an image of the scheduling software that I think is the best tool for churches when you're talking about scheduling volunteers. It's Ministry Scheduler Pro. I have lots of stuff about that on my website. I'm a rep for them. What I love about it, one of the features is that they have an emailer tool that's in it. And that emailer tool allows you to not only email the volunteers directly, because let's face it, when you talk about the greater parish, the people you speak to the most are the volunteers that are running stuff, because not only are they the active parishioners who need to know the parishioner stuff, but they are also the people who are doing the most. So you have twice as much communication with them. So you really can break out your volunteer-based communications and email just the volunteers. And it's such a great tool. You can even lower it down to where you email only the lectors, or only the Eucharistic ministers, the extraordinary ministers of Holy Communion. So these are just a couple tools, and we will talk about those in future webinars. So this is great, because I'm looking and seeing that we're just under 25 minutes, or just over 25 minutes. I'm going to post this webinar on our website, and I will send you an invite to view the webinar. and also to join us for a future webinar where we really take a closer look at how to use these email tools to change your parish mailings. You are welcome to contact me by email or phone or through the website. We're at ministrysolutions.expert, and I am Linda at ministrysolutions.expert. But I thank you very much for your time today and for looking on this. And feel free to reach out with any questions or anything else that you'd like to know. Thank you very much for attending. Talk to you soon.